Good morning. Good morning. Come on in. Come on in this morning. I'm going to get straight to my message. Let me tell you. In this time and season, you need to be spiritually tapped in, right? You need to be spiritually tapped in, which means you need to have a relationship with God. You really need to have a relationship because people and these times are so wicked. You have people that are close to you that are being compromised and used by the enemy. They can be used at any time. You have family members, friends, co-workers. You just have people who are just not really, they're not tapped in, right? They're not working on themselves, and they can be used at any time against you. And I've noticed, and because I've experienced this in the past, I've noticed what the enemy likes to do. He likes to send people to monitor you, right? He likes to send people to monitor you. And what people will do for a long time, right? They will monitor you, because it happened to me. I'm going to be honest. It happened to me. And that's how I know to pay attention now, because I didn't know before. A lot of times you have to experience things to know how to handle it. Yes, it may hurt at the time because you were ignorant of what was going on. But once you have experienced it, now you know what to do next time, right? But what the enemy will do, he will monitor you. He will watch you. He will wait for the opportune time to attack you or use people to attack you during the vulnerable moments, during death, during times when you're experiencing challenges with your children, during times when you are experiencing challenges in your marriage. The enemy will use people to come in at those moments, right? He will use people to come in at those moments to really do damage. And if you're not spiritually connected, you won't be able to recognize it. People will go along to, they will go along with what the enemy, is telling them to do. They will go along with it. So you have to be tapped in. Not that you're always on edge and you're walking on eggshells. You have to be discerning of your environment. Be discerning of the people who you are connected to. I don't connect with anyone, right? I don't connect with anyone that I have not tested the spirit with. That I have not tested their spirit. Because a lot of people think folks be acting funny. They call it acting funny or thinking they're better. But when you have experienced things that are spiritual, when you have experienced people, when you have experienced spiritual things, right? You're going to move differently from the normal people, right? From regular people who are not connected, who have not had encounters or spiritual, issues or things, who don't understand things of the spirit, right? They're not going to understand why you move the way you do. You're going to be misunderstood a lot, and that's okay, right? You're going to be misunderstood. You're going to be, ostracized. You're going to be talked about. You're going to be, ridiculed. You're going to be, a lot is going to happen, but you have to expect that. See, when you don't expect these things can be devastating, right? I had to learn, that's part of it, right? When you don't expect these things and when you don't understand things that are spiritual, right? Um, when you don't understand things that are spiritual, you're going to take these things personal. And that's what the enemy wants. He wants you to take things personal. He wants you to be in your feelings, but you have to be wise in this time. You could no longer and see, I was trained, right? I was trained to be discerning because of all the things that I've gone through, because I'm so open. You know, when you're so open and you're so free and when you're so welcoming, you know, you have to be trained. That's foolish. Monique, Holy Spirit told me that's foolish. You can't be so welcoming and opening to people. Yes, you can be discerning. You can be kind. You can be loving and caring, but you have to have spiritual walls up. You can't let everyone in so freely. I see them demons, them spirits, they like nice people. They like those people pleasers because they can come in and use you. And I was once one, okay? I was once a people pleaser. I was once so nice. I'm not nice anymore. I tell people I'm kind, right? I'm very kind. Sometimes people take that being flirtatious, you know, too. And I couldn't help. That's how I was, you know, and I had to kind of change that. Not change me fully because I'm still kind, but not to be so open and welcoming. And, you know, people think you're gullible and naive and they think they can just say anything to you, do anything to you. They think that you're just so, you know, they think you're just so foolish and so gullible and they can say anything and they can run game on you, right? Yes, you need to pray, Andre. Yeah, pray and, you know, repent with that. And that is a stronghold on a lot of people. That's a stronghold on a lot of people, especially if you were introduced to that spirit young. If you were introduced to that spirit. Yes, boundaries are important, and I had to learn to set healthy boundaries, even with my own children, even with my own family. Because if you don't set boundaries, people will continue to think they can mistreat you and talk to you all foolish. But I had to learn, and I come on here and share, you know, my story and share, you know, parts of me because a lot of people don't know. If you didn't have parents teaching you this, you're not going to know. If you don't have someone saying, you know, that's not right, sometimes you don't know. I don't care how old you are. If you were not taught something, you just don't know. Right? And I had to learn. I had to get a backbone. I had to stop allowing my emotions. I think I did a video the other day where we have to stop allowing our empathetic nature and our emotions to rule us. Because people know when we're empathetic, when we're emotional, they play on that. They manipulate us. They manipulate that caring part of you. Right? They manipulate and they use that to their advantage. They'll use empathy and their traumas and your traumas to get what they want. And, you know, you have to get out of your feelings. Get out of your emotions and look at the facts. That's what I said the other day. Look at the facts. Look at how people are treating you. Look at what they're doing. Don't worry about what they're saying. Look at what they're doing. Actions, as they would say. These people were not telling us this for nothing. Sometimes we hear things and we kind of dismiss it because it's repetitive and it's just a saying. You know how they say, actions speak louder than words. I don't believe in signs. I don't believe in zodiac signs. I used to believe in that foolishness, but I don't believe in that anymore. But people will ask you, people will use I forgot what I lost my train of thought reading the comments here. But people will use your empathy against you. But what I was going to say, the old folks used to say, watch people's actions, or actions speak louder than words. That was a thing. That is a thing. Watch what people do and not what they say. Watch what people do. People, when you pay attention to what they do, also pay attention to what they say too sometimes, because they'll tell you exactly who they are. But watch what they do right? Their actions, because that'll let you know all you need to know. And I was so gullible. I used to just ignore people. I used to ignore people doing things right in my face, saying things right in my face. I remember I was so gullible and naive, because when you have trauma and when you've experienced that, you want people to like you. And them demons on folks, they can smell that. Them spirits on them so-called friends, they could smell that. I remember I had a friend tell me to my face, and I was so gullible and naive. She told me to my face she was talking about me to another friend. And I'm like, oh, that's my friend? That girl was no more than the friend, than the man on the moon. She was a snake. She was a hater. She was jealous. And I'm sitting there because I was so desperate for friendship. I was young and dumb too. When you're young, dumb, you don't know anything. And I'm not saying in a mean way, but you just are young and ignorant. You don't know. Nobody taught me. I didn't have my parents teaching me how to, what a friend is and who I had to learn all this stuff by going through it, right? But she was the only child. And, I had a lot of siblings. So she had that she had those manipulative traits anyways. But I was so gullible because, I wanted a friend so bad, right? Exactly, because we do have pure hearts. But I was so gullible, and I didn't know who I was then. I was still searching and trying to figure out why I was the way I was. And I was trying to figure out how I knew stuff. And nobody told me certain things. Like spiritually, I knew certain things, right? So the girl, yeah, she told me. And I was so young, I was so naive and, gullible. Oh, that's my friend. And so, so welcoming and trying to overgive. I don't do all that anymore. I don't do all that because I'm too old for that for once. But I had to learn, grow, and heal and be okay with losing people. Because when you're not healed, you don't want to lose people. Even if those people are mistreating you, you still want to keep those demons around. Even if they hurting your feelings, they breaking your heart, you still want to keep them around because you're so unhealed. When you're healed and you're confident and you know who you are, you run from them people. You close the doors. I don't close so many doors. I don't ran from so many people, or I'm not really close the doors to people. They can't come in my life. I don't want them a part of my life because they bring too much chaos. They bring too much confusion. They stop my blessings. My peace is taken away. Whenever you're around people, right? Hold on. Whenever you're around people and your energy drains, they zap your peace. Hold on. Around people, they take your peace away. Your energy is drained. You just confused now. You're confused. You don't need to be around those people. You don't need to be around those people. You have to, and I don't know why we want to keep toxic people around. We want to keep people who don't make us feel good. That's what I identified that as trauma. That's trauma and unhealed emotions. We have to deal with that. A lot of us were brought up in families like that. You got families that'll mistreat you. Some family members don't abuse you, and you still have your family like you. Yeah, that's family. You don't get but one family. If blood got to treat me like that, I don't need family. God send me another family. If my family got to talk about me, if my family got to abuse me and mistreat me, I don't need that family. Lord, send me a spiritual family. Send me someone else. If my family members got to be jealous, they're not happy for me, they speaking curses over me and my children. Who want family like that? Who want relatives? Yeah, you're right. Who want relatives like that? Lord, raise up a spiritual family to replace the ones that don't want to be in my life. And me, that was hard for me because I'm pure hearted. I want to be around my family. I want to be in good graces with my family, right? And not all my family members, right? Because not all of them are like how I am, but I do have some that are like that. But I don't want to be around people like that. I can't, trust them. You're not supposed to trust anyone anyways, but I don't feel comfortable. I always feel like there's a competition. I always feel like there's uneasiness and there's you can feel that tension where they don't talk about you or they don't like you and you got to ignore that. I don't want to be around people like that. That zap up my energy. I used to feel that stuff as a child, feel people just not liking me for no reason. I'm like, what I did to my auntie? She don't like me. What I did to her? She never really, it's like, you can feel this stuff. We deny it because we don't want to rock the boat. But as I got older, I had to come to terms with this truth. We don't want to come to terms. We don't want to come to terms. We don't want to call this stuff out because we don't want to look like the villain. We don't want to look like the one that's tearing up the family. No, the family been tore up. It's been tore up because y'all people be sweeping stuff under the rug. You got molesters in the family. People don't say nothing to them. They want to blame the person who was molested, but then they don't want to address the molester because it's a curse. It's a curse. They sit and ignore stuff, then wonder why people don't want to come around. I don't want to be around that. As I've gotten older and realized that type of energy, being around people who don't like me, being around people who are not genuine, that sucks up my energy. That zaps me. You wonder why you tired. You taking all your vitamins. You taking all the zinc, mink, pink, all of the, all the vitamins, B12, B11, all the 1, 2, 3. You taking all them vitamins and you still drained because you're around demonic people. You're around energy vampires. You're around people draining your energy. You're around people who don't talk about you. That's how you know you walk in the room, you feel uneasy. You hugging people and that fake hug, that hug is fake because they just was slandering you and you can feel that. You can feel it in your spirit, right? You can feel it. And I don't have time. I don't let people in my energy. But I got to go because I'm meeting a friend. We're going to brunch. But I'll continue this conversation. Listen. Test the spirit. Test the spirit. Trust what your spirit is telling you. And don't override that. Be confident in who you are. Right? Be confident in who you are. I don't care who it is. Male, female. Test the spirit.